fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The aftermath of every social revolution brings about change. Cultural norms and landmarks shift as our minds and hearts expand beyond the familiar. To everything, there is a season and a time to every purpose in the land of the living. This is our time to renew, revive, and restore the hope lost to the busyness of life. This is our time to dig again and rebuild from the storms of our past on a solid footing that holds. Welcome to The Foundation.
The Foundation. Foundation. Foundation.
The Foundation of Hearts Grant is brought to you by Alive, the Bahamas Liquidation Center, Blissful Escape in Paradise, Bond for Bones, Burger King, Commonwealth Bank, Da Vinci Printing Innovators, Doctors Hospital, Epic Battery, Grand Bahama News, Marco's Pizza, NACAC Athletics, Prince Masters, and Ron's Electric Motors.
The Foundation. Foundation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant in your company, The Foundation. It is a beautiful Monday afternoon, live and in full effect. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy post-Father's Day as you continue to be able to find the dental floss to get that crab out of your teeth. I just hope that you do. It's a beautiful day, guys. I'm just grateful to be in your company today. I'm hoping that you guys had a beautiful day yesterday. Had a great time with my family. It's peculiar. As you and I talk, just me and you, as we talk together, it's no one else. It's just you and I. And as we talk like this, I just want to be decent as I say this. It's peculiar how on Mother's Day you spend money. On Labor Day you spend money. As fathers. This is just fathers. This is us, right? On Easter, you find a reason to buy a basket. My God. On Valentine's, you need something. But Father's Day rolls around and there's an expectation to be able to grunt like Tim Allen. You remember Tim Allen from Home Improvement? Like we could be able to grunt and kick our feet up, rub our tummy with the hopes and expectation that, it's not only crab that's filling our gut, right? Talk to me. However, as fathers, you still spend money on Father's Day. Something got to be wrong with this. Some imbalance must exist within the universe. And I recognize that even if we don't spend money on Father's Day, back as fathers, there has been an accumulation of things and requests made maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks in advance. I need $20 for this. I need $50 for this. I need $100 for this. But we never see this stuff. Only to be able to acquire those things. I just want to be decent as I have this conversation with you. It is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. I'm grateful to be in your company, guys. I got to shout out my good, decent people down there. Over at Da Vinci's in Printing and Innovation, they got everything laid out for you. I always say this to you, and I want to say this to you, especially in the time that we're in now. If you're not seeing, if you're not kind of conscious to the environment, there is sort of an amplification of it kind of ramped up of being able to see creativity come to the forefront. Persons are writing books, they're doing playwrights, they are setting themselves up and tapping deep into their creativity, And it's very important that you may have an idea that you need to put on paper, that you need to be able to present to a proposal, a project, an idea, so forth and so on. But you don't want to just kind of, your typing skills may not necessarily be the best. You don't know how to justify it accordingly. You don't know how to be able to do the graphics. Go down to my good friends over at Da Vinci Printing and Innovators. All right? Take that kind of that rough, dry concept. Talk to them about it. structure something accordingly. They could put that thing and make it pop for you. Da Vinci Printing and Innovators.com, Da Vinci Printing 242.com, Da Vinci Printing 242.com. They can be able to find more information from them. They are in the Village Road Shopping Plaza. That's the intersection of Village Road, Soldier Road, Wolf Road, Burnett Road, right there in the plaza on the side of the bank. You can be able to get them. They got everything laid out for you. So make sure you go check them out. Go check out my guys, AFS Insurance Agents and Brokers. They got everything available for you as of late state insurance. If you're in the market for that, if you just get your SDs, you just get your plates, you just convince your MP, you just try to be able to get these particular things together. If your cars are coming down on the boat, you get more than 2 or 3 cars, and you want to kind of do some stuff together, but you may not necessarily have the finances for your insurance. Go talk to my guy, Ethric Bow. He could be able to assist you in-house financing. Jet skis, liveries, taxis, jitneys, all of these things. You could be able to get those things taken care of. 3411-AFS, 3411-AFS. They could be able to take good care of you. They're open on Saturdays also until 2 o'clock. Guys, it's a beautiful day. Make sure you pick up your Guardian newspaper. All the information's in there. Father of 2 shot dead. Jet aviation worker had just arrived on the job. This is Giovanni Rowe. Let's see if we can be able to read this story together. I want to talk about it because I've heard enough rumors about it, murmurings about it. Social media is amplified and kind of, boom. It blew up with this kind of a concept and idea that exists in our society. Everybody thinks this is some sort of, Jerry Springer, some Lifetime drama, something, right? So let's read the story together and find out exactly what's going on. So it says that a father of 2 who worked for 20 years at Jet Aviation in Coral Harbor Road was shot and killed right when he arrived for his work at 6 a.m. on Sunday, which was Father's Day, right? It says the victim was identified as Giovanni Roll, a ramp manager. While the police did not provide the identification, they gave Roll's age as 38 years old. That means he was working there from he was 18 years old, bananas, right? So he says that police said that the victim, upon arriving for work, was approached and shot multiple times by the occupant of a white Nissan Note. That's the notes. Baby, we got to pray for notes, right? There should be an exorcism when you buy your note. At the harbor, have the Anglican priest do the little, the little sprinkle water thing. Please, for God's sake, right? And then it says he was taken to hospital by EMS where he died. And Roll had reportedly parked his car outside of the Jet Aviation on the neighboring Bahamas Air property. Later in the morning, police arrested a 25-year-old suspect in the domestic terminal of Linden Penlyn International Airport. And the story goes on. Guys, make sure you pick up your Guardian newspaper so you can be able to find out this information firsthand, and you don't have to talk about the speculations, and you don't have to get into those kind of that juicy conversation that has no merit, no base. So let's talk about these things, right? It goes on to talk about this is an individual close to the Rose family who spoke without expectation of arbitration, said that relatives were understandably devastated. Gio was a super, super quiet guy. He could walk in a room and walk out the other side and nobody ever sees him or hears him. So this happening to Gio is baffling to us. This is the person not speaking. He said the suspect in custody is reportedly connected to a female employee at Jet Aviation. It sounds to me, now this is the hearsay situation. Let's read it. So it sounds to me that the police were briefed by the other co-workers who were practically getting out of their cars at the same time. And there was not much mystery to the person or the suspect. Added that the individual who spoke to the Nassau Guardian, this is what they said, right? And then it says, Roll, an immediate member of Bo's family who operates Jet Aviation, had a daughter and a son, and was his mother's only son. This is what the Guardian learned. He said the shooting did not impact operations of Jet Aviation, and the Nassau Guardian understands. In other incidents that took place on Sunday afternoon, a man was killed by his brother. Now, I won't talk about this. Now, this thing is rich. It's relevant, it's real, and it'll be indecent for us to be able to kind of have this open conversation and discussion, especially on air, about people who are fresh in their state of bereavement. They have this kind of 12 states of grief hasn't even gotten through halfway just yet. They're still in the state of shock. They can't believe this. As you read the story, you're finding out that persons are still baffled, that Gio was this kind of guy, can walk in a room, walk out the room, and you didn't even know he was there. He's such a quiet guy. Social media is buzzing significantly with this information. We're not the kind of space that actually goes into this speculation. We are not the type of space that goes into this kind of a salacious talk and this sort of an idea. We're not the space that wants to be able to identify, those perpetrators and say who's right and who's wrong in this particular space. We have leave that to the professionals in their various capacities and allow them to be able to deal with it accordingly. But what I can say is identifying these things, that our city is amplified with this sort of an idea and a spirit of death. Can I say this? Y'all don't never want to talk spiritual to me. Y'all never, no, oh my God, Howard, you didn't throw your hand up and your eye roll. You need to stop. I could see you. You need to stop. I want to have a real conversation with you about what's happening in our country. This is bananas to me. You remember one time ago, people would make pronouncements about what they can do? Boy, I will boom, 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 boom. And then they give you this sort of a layout of what they can do in the event that you go contrary. If you don't do this, if you don't stop, if you don't do this, I will boom, boom, boom. And for the most part, we've never really seen that. For the most part, people will still take advantage of you in your posture because they've known you in your humidity. They've known you in your very quiet state for a very long time. And they've never seen you hurt a fly. They've never seen you hurt a puppy. Nothing. They've never seen you even kind of raise your voice beyond a specific octave. But there is possession. My God, I just get deep too quick, too fast. There is possession to all those that are open in this spirit, in this time, in this city, in this time. There is possession afoot. What are you talking about, Howard? If you're not sealed in your posture, if you don't take on a position of being able to ensure that you're covered and know whose you are and who you are and stay steadfast in your convictions in terms of your focus and moving forward, you become a vessel. There are many people who are walking in this kind of a posture of quote unquote good people who are only potential vessels. We are in a dispensation, a time that is amplified in the world. My God, if you look at the world, throughout the entire world, there are floods, there are deaths, there are suicides, there are issues amplified the world over, as though it is not only the enemy roaming the streets to and fro to seek who he may devour, but the enemy and all of his imps, all of the gargoyles, all of the demons that are out there are taking this particular thing very seriously. It saddens me. It saddens me. And put me in this kind of a state of questioning what's happening in my country. When a brother could go at a brother like Cain and Abel. When a brother can be able to, I think about that. Me and my brothers had some indifferences that a couple punches fixed very quickly. Very quickly. No love lost, hugging, kissing. I'm sorry, you shouldn't do this. That's just me. That's who I am. I can punch you 2 times and deal with you if we're angry, so forth and so on, but I can hug you and say, listen, I didn't expect it to get to this particular position and have these kind of conversations as brothers. My brothers know that I love them. There's one time I thought about this over the weekend. I was very silly in my posture. Very, very silly. My brother has very fuzzy hair, right? Long, fuzzy hair. It looks, he doesn't look, his hair has these kind of rich swirls, and it grows long and luscious, my brother, right under me. And so I was pressure cleaning, very silly, I must tell you. My Grammy asked me to pressure clean the building. And I was just fascinated by how this pressure cleaner was pressure cleaning. And my brother came to help me, the one just under me. And I saw his hair. I don't know why I did this. And I took the pressure cleaner and I said, let's see if this could cut your hair. So I tried to cut it on just over the top of his hair to see if it could, just as I say it, it's the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. And I tear up his face. Shh, his face. I cried so much. I felt like I killed him. He said, no, I okay. I cried. I was so broken and devastated. I felt so silly and so stupid that I hurt my brother. Even thinking about it is caused me to tear up, because I'm older than he is. So I'm the oldest brother. I'm responsible for being able to take good care of him. And I prayed to God. I said, Lord, please let his face heal properly. Please, Lord. And I prayed about it. My father, he was angry with me. Why the hell you do this? I said, Daddy, I would rather die than to hurt him. I would never do nothing to hurt him. And we were younger. And so when I think about brotherhood, I think about the indifference that exists between us. But I think about the love and the connection that we have that goes beyond anything. And then I look at instances like this, and I realize that this cannot be over the lifetime of a relationship. I realize as I look at these particular relationships of what's happening and the difference that happens there, and in the heat of a moment, and in a passionate moment, being able to make a decision that has a long-lasting effect, an eternal effect, that cannot be the reflection of a relationship that existed over the course of time. I cry, man, for my country, for my people. That if we're so consumed with this sort of an idea of going up and down and just trying to get our job done and go to the man job, and we don't take the time to acknowledge the God above us. Because I keep saying supremacy, I keep saying divinity, and I don't want you to believe that I'm diminishing this to be able to put other deities in this. The God, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, if we don't take the acknowledgement and take the time out to understand why we exist, we will fall in this trap as vessels, going contrary to our convictions, going contrary to our positions, going contrary to the call that we have on our lives, to the purpose that's been put on our lives. We leave ourselves open, susceptible to anything. And that's an issue. I continue to be able to pray for these families. For the mother and father that just lost a son, 2 sons. For the mother and father just lost 2 sons. For the family that just lost a son. For the family that son has been lost to the system. And for children who've lost their father on both sides. I pray for you. And it's hard for their lives to be an example of why it's important for us to kind of shape up and to align ourselves with the consciousness and understanding that we've been called for more than this. I don't want to get mad preachy with you today. I really don't. But this broke my heart this weekend. And then this morning, because I'm looking at the phone as I roll over, I get up, say my little prayer, think about some dreams that you have. Sometimes you got to cancel some things that you dream about. So, getting up, assessing myself, assessing the dream, so forth and so on, looking at my phone. And as I look at my phone, I see breaking news. I said, this must be from Saturday. This can't be this morning. This must be Saturday. What happened? My phone didn't refresh. Then I look at the top corner 10 minutes ago. What? There's a body that was found of a male on R.M. Bailey. And they're indicating that the body had significant bruises on it based upon the information that I saw. And so I don't know whether or not Chief Inspector Skippings has taken on this kind of a position. I didn't have an opportunity to listen to her just yet. Or whether any other person within the Royal Bahamas Police Force has, declaratively indicated whether or not this is something that they're going to look into or what. But we're looking at this and we see that over the weekend, lives have been lost. And whilst there may be one death here, there are 2 lives that are lost. This gentleman, 25 years old, was found not running. It was at the Lynden Pindling Airport. Let's have a conversation, guys. Let's talk about this and talk with the type of vulnerability that can be able to permeate this cold stone wall that obviously exists around the hearts of many of our Bahamian people. Let's sound the alarm and bring down those walls like Jericho so we can be able to get to the heart of the matter. Let's talk like this today, guys. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300-5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. On the text, let me take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
Foundation.
Are you looking for a hot deal this summer? Well, look no further because Marco's is here. We're giving you an offer you absolutely can't resist. Get 2 large one-topping pizzas and choose between a cheesy bread or Cinesquares for just $29. But hurry, because this deal is here for a limited time only. Head into your nearest Marco's or order online today at marcospizzabahamas.com. Nobody makes a pizza as good as we do.
Bonneville Bones, established in 1970, is the leader in men's fashion in the Bahamas. We're conveniently located in the mall at Marathon and the Harbor Bay Shopping Plaza, and fully stocked with everything you need for all occasions. Our Harbor Bay location is 1 door north of Alive, with the black and white signage of Bonneville Boutique. Both locations are open from 10 to 7 p.m., Monday through Saturday. Bonneville Bones and Bonneville Boutique, still the leader in men's fashion. Located in the mall at Marathon and the Harbor Bay Shopping Plaza.
Now let me see now. 326 EPIC. Hello? This Epic Eckert battery. This Miss Beulah from round the corner. I hear you're selling tires now on Wolf Road too.
Praise the Lord. It's about time. I live Fox Hill and Fire Trail. It's too far.
That ain't all. They open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On Sunday and holiday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
My brother Sam, he's a hacker, and he could go right there and get fixed up.
Call us at 326 EPIC. We ship also to the Family Islands.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company, the foundation. We have started this year off with sort of a bang, right? And I'm not talking about the celebratory bang, right? I'm not talking about the fireworks that continue to be able to shoot up and cascade over Atlantis or Bahama or any of these particular spaces. I'm talking about the bang as it relates to gunshots and murders and bodies that continue to be able to fall in our streets and blood that flows like rivers down our roads, in our thoroughfares. And this is crazy as we see this. And we had significant conversations and continue to be able to rag on it and deal with it maybe a week, 2 weeks, day after day, 3 weeks, continue to be able to talk about this escalating murder in our country and recognizing at one point almost 50% of the days for the amount of time that was in the year, almost 50% of the days ended with a murder. That means every other day. At one point this year, someone was being murdered. Every other day, Now we're up to almost 60. And it seems as though we can't hold our breath with the sort of an idea that it'll be done soon because there's no end in sight. And now allegations, speculations, and conversations amplify about crimes of passion. And I think about it. I don't know the young man, Gio. I don't know the suspect in these matters. I don't know the other persons that are involved, if there are any. The story doesn't speak to those particular things. The story didn't speculate and get into anything. The hearsay is thick out there. But it's time for us to be able to respect the sanctity of the decisions that men make. The ugliest thing in the world for me, can I say this to you? Is it okay that we talk like this? It's a Monday. I know you ain't ready for this. Allow the crab in your system to override these things. Let's talk about this. Let's be decent and let's talk like this. Give me a pinch of vulnerability and let's have a real conversation today over the people airwaves. Let's talk about it. The ugliest thing in the world to me is somebody's wife. Can I say that? Howard, what do you mean? I'm not saying that you're not a beautiful woman. I wouldn't know because you're married. So automatically you're ugly to me. The indecency of being, see, I know y'all didn't grow up with your daddy, many men. We ain't putting this on nobody. We having a conversation. It's me and you. I'm not speculating and talking about nobody. I know y'all didn't grow up with your daddy. I know your daddy wasn't in the house. If you could look at another woman and salivate over a married woman. I just want to be decent as I say this. This is generally speaking. The ugliest thing in the world is a married woman. There's this woman out of Jamaica. She sing this. You remember the song, the Pum Pum Turn Up thing? The Pum Pum Turn Up. I don't know it verbatim. I don't know it. I'm getting too old for this stuff, but nonetheless, I remember it. I had the responsibility for being able to accommodate her one night at the Malia Hotel as a front office manager, and I was the manager on duty for the entire property, right? And so when she came in, my responsibility was to ensure that she was taken care of. And she came in, you know, these celebrity women, and they're into a new space and whatnot. So she came in with a whole cape on, right? Super pum pum tone up. I don't know what it was all about. It was too much, right? It was too much. And she had this it was forest green, and it was just like, you know, shimmering in the wind. Every time she walked, she had these kind of Puss in Boots shoes on all the way up to her knee. Hair was nice, and she was looking mad fly. I might as well tell you the truth. She was looking good, right? And I'm at the hotel managing, and I look at her. I said, "She's a cute gal, right?" That's what I said to myself, right? So I said, well, "This is a nice looking woman, right?" And then one of the girls at the front office said, "Mr. Grant, this is whatever she named. I can't remember what her name." So she said, "Mr. Grant, this is something," and she sings a song, something, "Pum Pum Turn Up." I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. Give her a suite. Let's take care of her. Make sure she's accommodated." Now, I said that I don't think that she was booked for a suite, and I think that we had a significant. I think it was like a hot weekend, so our occupancy was up, but I could make some decisions and I could do some stuff. The people who brought her down gave her like probably a junior suite. I upgraded her, right? And they say, "Oh, okay." I say, "Okay." So who's going to be in the room with her? Her husband. I say, "Her husband." Instantly, my stomach hurt. I said, "Why would this woman want to sing about her pum pum turn up? And she married. This is the most indecent." And I got upset. Because look at me, innocent, decent me, just saying, "It's a nice looking woman." Instantly, the woman turned to a gargoyle to me. Instantly. The decision I made, standing in front of my wife, holding her hand, looking deep into her eyes behind this veil, saying to myself, "Jesus, Lord, I thought in my young age I supposed to have a bunch of women and sowing my royal oats. I get married. You sure this is what you want to do? I know the devil here with me. I know he here because he whispering to me, and I then make a decision. I can marry the woman. I stand in here. And the devil saying, you know, there's woman in here. Look around. You getting married today. And I got to push past the devil. Get thee behind me, Satan. I'm getting married today. And then I look deep into her eyes, and the pastor, Bishop Leslie Woodside, as he continues to be able to talk, he said, Harvard, you listening to me? Harvard, you listening? I said, yes, Bishop, I'm listening. He said, now, listen, this is a small woman for you, Harvard. He called me Harvard with a V, right? Which is cool. I'm not going to fight him, right? So he said, Harvard, this is a small woman for you. But I want you to know something. It is in this woman. You hear me, Harvard? I said, yes, Bishop, I hear you. He said, no. Everything you need is in this one woman. Then he goes on to stories about his life and so forth and so on. I love Bishop Woodside very much. And I'm saying this to say to you, the decision that a man makes in a world that is amplified, that is charged with sexual energy everywhere you turn, a woman won't fall on you. My God, they looking at you in church. They looking at you, you can't even fold your clothes in the laundry. My God, they're cutting up with you. When you go buy conch salad, they come there broke with the expectation that they get 2 conch salad from you. My God, this world is charged. And this ain't just sexual energy. This is accessible sexual energy that says exchange ain't no robbery. That says this is only transactional. There is no spiritual element to this. In the midst of what's happening the world over, why in God's name would you even consider stepping into the covenant that's set up? This is just decent me having a decent conversation. Join me on that. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family violence, 242-300-5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. In the space of decency and in order. We ain't talking about nobody. Let's be decent. You ain't talking about nobody. We are talking about the fact that in an amplified is as Satan has come out of hell and seeking to not only in people's home and in the streets of our country, that people have their vulnerable nature has been open to this sort of an idea and concept. How do we stop this, people? How do we? We started to have a conversation last week, or maybe a week before. I started to talk about the acknowledgement and understanding of what the Ministry of Education has done as it relates to being able to provide opportunities, amplify that, fortify from an educational standpoint, and do all they can do to get children involved with education. One of the things that I expect, I'd like to see from a governmental, which is not necessarily their responsibility. They'll tell you that right off the top. They say, no, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's your mom, your pa need to do that. Okay, I accept that. We're not going to fight you. I accept that. But one of the things that I'd like to see from an educational standpoint is an acknowledgement, and I talked to Bishop Fernando about this. He and I had a very quick conversation when we went over to Garden of Eden, to Glenn Rose, Pastor Glenn Rose. He had some gathering of men. And so I just kind of tugged on the ear of Bishop Fernando, and he and I were talking about the acknowledgement of divinity of God in the classroom. Now this kind of a religious, repetitive, God is real, now the day is over, our Father concept, but the acknowledgement of supremacy and the fact that he is real. That's not being taught. There's no acknowledgement of God. We're losing a generation, and we call them a generation of vipers. My God, if they vipers, we got to be the corporal. The generation prior got to be anacondas, because we only could give birth to them. That means that has been that has been in us for a very long time. Let's talk about it. Lines are wide open. Call on the line. Go ahead. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Hello.
Turn on.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Turn your radio down. Go ahead.
Yes, it's down. Let me ask you something. When the government they're saving with BPL and with the airlines, I think they gone up on the price. I heard a couple million pilots. Do they sit down with these NDOs and find out? Sit down with them first. Trash it out. But they just throw everything and say, you saw it. And what it means now, the couriers and everything that comes in, what's going to happen now? The price is going up. Then they bring the products in and everything. It has to go up because they charging so much. Even with the BPL, do they sit down with the financial gurus of this country and, just sit down with them? Just don't, like someone said, the politicians can win election, but they can't run the country. Do they sit down with these individuals? What's your take on
You
that?
want to know if the government sit down with NGOs?
Yeah, and making decisions for the country.
Okay, in what respect? Sit down with NGOs about projects?
I'm talking about now the airlines, the couriers and everything, the pilots and everything. They went up on their prices, but they didn't sit down with them. Even with the BPL, do they sit down with the union and try to get some input? Not just they making these decisions all by themselves and they come and just throw it on your lap and you take it.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying. And talking about that, this PLP administration, the PLP in general, under Perry Christie more specifically, has been an organization, an entity that always went into consultation, right? So they always created a select committee. We remember them for creating a select committee to identify, to scrutinize, to dissect, to make a determination. That select committee for a long time kind of drug some things out, not necessarily bringing it to fruition, not necessarily bringing it to a position of being able to have a definite, like, this is what we're going to do, right? So it was almost in limbo when it went to this select committee, for the most part. And we saw the minister administration come in and not necessarily take the same course as it relates to select committee, but being able to identify, for one reason or the other, the power that exists within the competent authority, as opposed to the power that exists within the collective responsibility of cabinet. It actually was concentrated into the competent authority. So we didn't necessarily see that when the NGOs came down post-hurricane, there were conversations happening, not necessarily to find out what, where we needed these particular persons, but they came down and they were identified for the expertise that they had, right? So if this was post-hurricane persons who were dealing with some things, if these were people who were good as in terms of being able to execute for meals and being able to assist as it relates to water and so forth and so on, they were given specific divisions to execute accordingly. Now, when you start to talk about NGOs in this dispensation, when you start to talk about NGOs now, and then you talk about couriers and you talk about BPL, I'm lost. I am. Non-governmental organizations, non-governmental entities, their allegiance is to the development of, they're, for the most part, humanitarian in their efforts, right? Not necessarily being able to dive into the commercial aspects of these particular things. And so I'm absolutely lost. But I do understand what you're saying. There needs to be more consultation. But it seems as though this administration has made up their minds in many instances and actually they're executing their plans. They're presenting their plans as though that this is the be-all that ends-all avenue position of what needs to happen in the country, as opposed to being able to consult the country and say that this is, what do you think needs to happen? That's what I'm seeing now. A new energy era that's taken us back 15 years, 20 years into a concept for LNG to ensure that certain players are always enriched and has access and opportunity has not gone to the type of far and wide consultation that we could be able to scrutinize it and say, maybe this may not necessarily be the course that's taken, that needs to be taken in the country at this time. So that's my take on that. Okay. The lines are wide open, guys. We're talking about these things. I want you guys to be able to be as decent as possible as we're talking about these things. I know it's taboo. I know our society is very tight, very small. I know you may not necessarily want to get into a conversation about being able to acknowledge that there is a spirit that lives within us, that connects to a wider spirit, a supreme spirit that is God. And sometimes we can be out of line, out of whack. How do we get back in line? A quick break and be right back after this.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We printing services from banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Looking for great device deals and offers this summer? Look no further. Alive has special discounts on the latest smartphones, Ring devices, and accessories. Plus, as an Alive customer, you can expect exclusive Get Extra offers and rewards, which means even more value for your money. We're talking more data, prizes, and surprises. Upgrade with us and experience the perfect summer with Alive in store or at bealive.com/deal.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. We understand that your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnoses and true personalized treatment begins. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshosp.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 96.9 FM radio, Howard Grant in your company. Live and in full effect. I am grateful to be here with you today, guys. Give me a call, 323-623-232-54-316, 325-4259, anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300-5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. I can read a text for you. He says, remember this, Howard. Players do what they want, and suckers do what they can. Simping is bad for your health. Listen, sir, I could assure you, if you simp, I don't even know what these terminologies mean. I don't even know. I just don't know. I don't know. All of us live on this little small island, man. There are women out here praying every night. Every night. They go to bed with 60 cats. And they pray every night. Hairball. As they pray, because all the cats, the pet danders in the air, and they pray into God to be able to send a genuine man with a desire to be able to secure the household, to take care of them, to move forward. There are many women out here in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s who have no children, who have great faith, who has a desire to be able to do things in a particular direction and so forth and so on, that have no connection. But my God, why? 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 That's just me. Why? There's a lot of questions I know. I know there's a lot of why. I just want to know from you. Is that okay? Is our society amplified to the point that we've put aside any covenant that we've made with the Father for being able to stand before the altar with these women? Why? As men, is there no code amongst men that says, Bala, I don't bother with people, woman? Is there no code? Even criminals have codes. Bala, I don't bother with people, wife. You married? No, I ain't married yet. Okay, that's a different story. You ain't married. I've been with the man 10 years. Baby, no, that's a lot. What you doing for lunch? It's a different story. I'm a married woman. I've been married X amount of years, so forth and so on. Bam! Take it out your mind. Is there no code amongst the decent? I mean, even criminals. No, you don't bother with women and children. Have we been taken over by this pursuit of pleasure to the point that there's no regard? I just want to be decent with you as I talk about these things. And I don't see myself superior. I just know that in my life, I decide some things. I made a decision as a child in my life. Look here, I don't want nobody. Don't even smile at me when you're married. Is there no code? It's hard to have this conversation with men when we have onlookers. We still have to show our strength. We still have to show our ability. We still have to show these things. There's no vulnerability in this space, but there has to be honesty. We got to be real as we talk about these things. Let's take a quick call before we go to break. Caller on the line, go ahead. Caller on the line with us live, go ahead.
Hey, Howard Grant.
Hey, how you doing, my brother?
Man, a pleasant good afternoon to you.
Thank you, man. What's happening?
I would like to say, belated day.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I would like to say to you, Howard, you opened up your show this morning with a very, very interesting topic, and that is music. Do you realize, Howard, during the International Air of the Child, way back then, Bob Marley came to this country. And the songs of Bob Marley then is resonating today. So the sad thing about us here is that our artists, vocalists, musicians, they're now even banned of playing by politicians. That is intriguing. What are we coming to? How you could not speak or sing about the prince in the pulpit? Why not? And allow our music writers of songs to truly express what is happening in the country. Because only through music you see and you hear these things. When you go to a play, you see this, and make a mockery of it, you laugh.
Yeah, but the freedom of information, the freedom to write, to speak, your freedom of speech, those things are not, you don't have any shackles on that. You can say things, but the fear.
Thank you very much, Howard.
Watch me. The fear of the repercussions associated with that is something that the fear of being labeled on one political side or another, that is mess with your money sometimes.
Yeah, well, let's keep the politics out and ensure that our
but this is all politics. This is all politics.
And Howard, I want to thank you for taking my call.
Oh, absolutely, my brother. I do appreciate you. But this is all politics. Let's just shoot straight. In the event that someone comes up, let's say Gino D. Gino D sing on the road, them dig up. Everywhere they dig in. And we jam into that, winding up. There was no expectation that he was going to show up to no F&M convention, no F&M rally. None. There's none. As KB take on this kind of a position to be able to say that kangaroo leaders and jokey leaders and so forth and so on, there was no expectation that the PLP would ever engage him to have a conversation about these things. There's none. When you take on a position, even from your artistic standpoint, you have to know that there's repercussions in a small community like ours. Because we're not going to play like we don't know what you're talking about. We can dance to it. But you have to know that your dollar is going to suffer as a result of the position that you've taken, even in conviction. Guys, we got to take a break for news at 1 o'clock, and let's get back right after this.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation. The foundation. 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 The foundation.
And we are back. One day, y'all gonna let me have a real conversation about marriage. I've been married for 21 years this year. Been with a woman for 24 years. I love her with all my guts. We've been through ups and downs, trials and tribulations. Every time I get mad with her, row, I'm talking about impassioned arguments, so forth and so on. And I walk off 5 minutes past, 6 minutes past. And so I can have this kind of frown on my forehead when I'm angry, right? And then, when I distance myself from her and we ain't rowing no more, and then my face goes down, and then boom, right? Let's say I watch a movie or something. Next thing you know, I call her. I say, come here, baby, let's watch this movie together. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I love you. Boom, 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 boom. That's been the course of our relationship. I love this woman. Like, I'm real love. Like, even if throughout the course of marriage, I'm supposing that every half a decade, every man gets an opportunity to say, Jesus, I know I should never marry, bother with you. Yeah, that's when the impassioned arguments come up. My God, did I make the right decision? Every 5 years, you should have at least one of them in your little, satchel. You should be able to pull that out once every 5 years. If you use it more than once, my God, the coupon's no good no more. Once every 5 years. So you get 2 a decade, right? Even when you get to that point, if there's true love, if there's this kind of a true commitment and a reason why you've actually gotten together, if it wasn't because of a shotgun wedding, if it wasn't because she was married, if it wasn't because I thought marriage was a good thing, if it wasn't because of these things, if it was a genuine bond beyond these concepts and ideas that man puts on you, if there was a connection, spiritual, and you realize that this person is the person that you're called to be with for your time while you're here, then you can get over those issues. We have and we continue to. There's no perfection in marriage. There's none. There's no perfection in marriage. And the only thing that you could be able to lean on is the examples that you've seen from former generations, the examples that you've seen from your mother, the examples that you've seen from your grandmother, your grandfather, so forth and so on, whether or not they've had the relationship that stood the test of time. And in the event that you don't have these examples, but you seek to do the right thing, then you have to fortify your relationship with the Father Almighty. Because if you don't have the examples, whenever you find yourself up against tribulation, when you find yourself up against a real issue, and you don't know how to be able to deal with it, the only thing that you could be able to revert to and lean on is the examples that you've seen with your mother. In the event that, let's say hypothetically, that she wasn't married, and you say, my mother never had to deal with this. Jesus, I don't have to take this. Boom. As a man, if you find yourself in this kind of a posture and position, and you're rowing over the time, and you're fighting, or whatever the case may be, and you're going through whatever you're going through, you find yourself in this kind of a position, and you look back and you think about your father who's never made a commitment to anything. My God, let's just be real. Your daddy didn't make a commitment to you. He didn't make a commitment to your mother. You all make a song about it and thought the song was so good. You start to sing it and be able to charge the atmosphere with that, and you believe that this is how men would go. That your daddy was a rolling stone. Wherever he lay his hat was his home. You're content with that. And then you mutter very under your breath. You charge the atmosphere with it, but no one audibly can hear what you're saying, but you already then release this out of your spirit. Like father, like sonny. So you say those things and you walk through life with an expectation that you connect and commit to nothing and no one. Then you're going to talk real with me. All I'm going to talk real. All these relationship talk ain't easy, Howard. You all believe in Jesus and things like that. Oh my God, I's a man. I tell you, like my wife, Harbor Island cousin say, you're a man. Let's just shoot straight. Let's have a very clear conversation about where we are and where we're going. It's time to talk about these things. I'm no different than any other man. The same desires, the same need. Come on, man, let's talk about it because it's a strong N. It's a capital N. EED. All caps. The need for relations is first on the list. Oh, yeah, we can need that. Amen? Can I get an amen? I don't put myself supreme over anything. But am I willing to lose my relationship, my connection, simply because of my need to satisfy a pleasure right now? Let's talk, man. Let's have a real conversation. And let's see if we can get to the bottom of this, because some of these things we don't need. We don't need. I was consumed with the idea, my God, can we talk like this? Is you churning? No, you're churning into school today. My God, I can't talk like this. I want to be decent with you today. You remember one time ago we were just curious about the nature of it all? How does it happen? How do you do this? I wonder what this is. I wonder what I got to say. Oh my God. All these things as a child, as we grow up in a sexually charged environment, we hear so much of this stuff. And so we start to think on it. Our mind lingers in this sort of a space, especially when we see our maturity coming in. But after you've bitten of that particular fruit, all the fruit is the same fruit. Can I get an amen? All the fruit is the same. How are they in the same fruit? Stop it. Stop it. Don't lie to yourself. It is the same fruit. I've realized over the course of argument that all of us men are married to the same woman. Can I say this? Oh God, how are you getting deep? Yes, I am. All of us men are married to the same one woman. The same issues I have in my house, the same rowing, the same problems that we have. Many men have these same problems. Whether it be rowing, whatever we rowing for, it might have been nothing. Our fathers had the same issue. Our grandfathers, the same issue. Then when you read through the book, Adam had the same issue. My God. What is our desires? After you eat of this sweet heart fruit, and you have bitten into the core of this proverbial apple and gotten to the sweet heart of the apple, you'd realize very quickly that a proposition is placed before you. So when you can leave her. Oh my God, now blackmail is afoot. It's too much. Why? Why, men? Why? Let's talk. Let's take a telephone call. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Anywhere from the family of islands, 242-300-5720, or hit me up 422-4796. Telephone call on the line. Go ahead.
Brother Grant.
Hey, what's happening, my brother?
Listen to me. Indulge me for 3 minutes.
Okay.
Let me say something to you.
I can press play. Go ahead.
I hear you talking about looking at a married woman.
Mm-hmm.
What is the signal for you to know that a woman is married?
You mean beyond the ring?
Okay, the ring.
You mean
the
beyond
ring.
acknowledgement
and
her saying
women
that?
I know go to churches.
Now, if you calling here to
take the
justify,
ring off, then they leave home.
if you calling here to justify your sin, I can't
No.
help you.
I want you to hear me. That's why I want to have a conversation with you. Okay, I can flip the script. But you know how many women I know that are married? When I see them and their husband, they have on a wedding band. And when I see them out by themselves, they don't be wearing a wedding band.
Jesus.
I mean, when I had my sight back then. I'm talking about years gone now.
Okay, let me
And an old man told me one time, say, boy, when you get married, watch how many women can be attracted to you.
Oh, yes. That's the
I
truth.
said, why? He said, because the woman can be with you, get what she could get, because she know you got to go home. You can't sleep there all night. She get somebody else.
See, now, if you want to get into Bible study, because I know where your position is, if you want to get into Bible study, you're giving me a superficial, carnal answer to a spiritual issue. That is incubus.
That's just nature. It's just
That
truth
ain't
that
nature.
I'm talking.
That is not nature. That is not
But
the
it's
nature.
It's the truth.
It might be facts.
I've seen women that at one time I thought would never even look at me after I got married and started wearing a wedding band. I used to drive a bus at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They give me the dollar in the bus and put the number in the dollar bill on a piece of paper.
Mm.
Women I never thought they even was looking at me.
Mm.
Okay, now and the third thing, we're talking about fathers not being in the home.
Mm-hmm.
The first murder that ever happened in the world, the mother and daddy was in the home. It's just a mindset. Then in the world, you ever hear two brothers riding in a car, one hit one in the head, and the next one knock him down. You never see head of things? It got to be a spirit around here somewhere.
That's all they said.
It has to be a spirit.
That's what they said.
The big brother usually grab the little brother and slap him twice.
That's it.
Turn him around, kick him, and run him inside those.
Now, we can talk about that
you
later.
Kill your brother?
We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time, my brother climbed the church roof. We lived close to one church, the Seventh-day Church. My time, the little brother, he climbed the church. 10 years older than him. He climbed the church roof. We never climbed this church roof. What you doing up there, right? I grab him down. He won't fight. He getting mad, right? I slap him twice. Pop, pop. He called my daddy. He called daddy. Daddy. They call me Motto. Motto slapped me, right? See what happened? He gave me the phone. You should have slapped him again.
That's what you want to do.
No, I'm saying that to say there is a different understanding from a different generation. As the only child.
In closing, because I know you
Go
don't want
ahead.
to call it.
Go ahead.
I had 5 brothers older than me. If my mother beat me once, she beat me plenty. I had my brothers, and then I had a uncle, Leander. We were living on Moore Avenue. He was living in Colgate. And he telling you up on the phone, boy, if I got to drive up there, I ain't wasting my gas.
No.
Behave yourself. Because you know what that means if he come up there? He thinking about his gas, what he had to drive to come up there. He getting beaten for that. Behave yourself. It's just...
See, life is...
Ain't no father never been in my house.
That's heavy what you're
It's
saying.
just respect.
That's heavy what you're saying.
Respect. That's all we have to go back to, respect.
That's heavy what you're saying.
You know?
I like
we
your
get
telephone
together.
call.
I can finish listening. We get together.
I appreciate you, my brother.
Yeah.
I appreciate your telephone call. You see, I like what you say as it relates to respect. But I like what you say. You see, we come from a different era and dispensation. I want to say this. Now, this might be a hard pill to swallow. A lot of... I watch a podcast, and I start to kind of read a story on some things. The podcast I was watching is called The War Within. Right? The War Within. You could go look it up. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube, right? So I was watching I listened to The Master's Voice and The War Within. 2 of these are faith-based Christian podcasts that actually speaks with clarity and this sort of an unadulterated approach to where we are in this sort of an end time. And I appreciate it, right? I really, really enjoy it. I'm riding around in my truck, just listening in, ingesting the information. When I take my time off, press play on the podcast, and I'm just listening to these particular things. And one of the things that I've listened to, and as a recurring theme that I hear, both on the podcast and in our society, is that the lack of structure, right? The dismantling of the faith that existed, that many of us, and the traditions that we held fast to in yesteryear as it relates to father, so forth and so on, the different dispensations that caused the shift to happen, has led to effeminization of young people, young men in the home. And as a result of this sort of an effeminized position, As a result of this amplified concept and idea of independence and so forth and so on, and moving away from faith, we're seeing simultaneously an approach or an amplification in suicides. We're seeing an amplification of persons moving towards different genders and being able to take on that as an identity, all moving away from God. We got to talk about this. We have to talk about this. As soon as you ease God out and ego kicks in, we see an amplification of issues. It's hard to take. I'm getting mad preachy with you. This existed before I was born. And well after I gone, the principles that hold fast in this world would stand strong. We could be able to make modifications to facts day in and day out. But the truth will always reign supreme. There is a truth that exists in this world. There is a truth, no matter how we try to be able to poke our heads into the sand and become like ostriches and try to hide from facts, we leave our butts exposed. Let's be honest, let's have a very clear conversation. There is time, no matter if you go to church or you don't go to church, there is time for us to hear this. The course that we're taking is leading us away from the God that we claim that we serve. This approach that we're taking in being able to amplify the idea of carnality and constant pleasure and ingesting pleasure for ourselves, we are unquenchable. And that's from the top all the way down. We are unquenchable, unbridled in our approach, no restraint as it relates to being able to ingest more and more and more pleasure for ourselves. And we call it fun. And don't know that this trickle effect, this domino effect, is affecting our entire society. Let's talk about it. Next telephone call, caller on the line, go ahead.
Hey, Howard, good day.
Hey, baby, what's up?
You know, I want to play the devil's advocate.
Let me hear it.
You like chicken, right?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay, let's just say for someone who likes chicken, or any meat for that particular matter, would you just eat sauce all the time?
No.
So sometimes you'll want barbecue. Sometimes you'll want
Jesus. You need to stop it, you know. You need to stop it. You need to stop it. You think I need Korean chicken?
I understand what you're saying. Okay, the gentleman was saying you identify with ring. You can't identify with ring for everyone because as an Adventist, ring is not something most of us wear. Mm-hmm. As a part of the wedding ceremony, it'd be a watch, a particular watch. Mm. You see? Okay. So you can't identify me with a ring. However, if you approach me, your question should be to me, if you're interested, are you married?
First
you get
question.
Some of these young girls who 14 and look like they're 21. You just can walk up on them and want to be with them rather than question them or try to find out something about them before you move to that level. You understand me? Question, ask question, communicate.
The fellas don't know how to talk to women, though. That's why they come with the money out.
They don't know how to beg.
No, they come with their money out. They don't know how to have a conversation with women.
If you have a conversation with somebody, you start off with a conversation with that person that you may be interested in, then you would find out whether or not this is the way to go.
My God.
You would not find yourself switching from Bamboo Shack to Dirties.
My God.
And then jump to KFC, and then all of a sudden your mind changes, you want Popeye.
Mm-mm.
You're too greedy. You are too greedy. Stay in your lane. If you meet somebody, if you're not with somebody and you want to meet somebody, that's different.
But you know something?
But if you're with somebody, what you looking around for?
I can say this to you. You often hear me say, my wife is make me tired sometimes when she asks me what I want to eat. She's asked me, what you want to eat? She know what I just eat. Cook a salmon for me, cook some grouper for me, fry some snapper for me, whatever. This is what I just eat every day. Mm-hmm. Every day God said I can eat a fish, some variation of fish. I have no problem with the fish. Tuna fish, it don't matter. She know this, but every day she will ask me, what you want to eat? Now, one
because
thing...
She want to satisfy your taste.
Yeah, but my taste ain't gonna change. Now,
No, that's not the point. Your taste don't change from fish, but it depends on which day it is that you want to eat fried fish or boiled fish. Or salmon or grouper.
Or stew fish. Yeah.
Thank you. So she wants to make sure that when she feeds you, that you are quite satisfied.
And the one thing I want to say, as men, we will eat the same thing till God come. But we always give an analogy or draw a reference to variations of food that we like or ice creams that we like in women. That is a lie.
Exactly.
You like one type of food, but you want all these different type of women. You're confusing me, sir. You need to stop.
And then your woman asks you what you want. Oh, I know. So how is she supposed to satisfy you if you don't know what you want?
But I can tell her.
That's what you should do. That's communication.
It's
You communicate
all
with
us
that
men
woman
want
so
the
you
same
happy
thing.
with what you have.
All us men want the same thing. We appreciate the gift that keeps on giving. Amen. Praise God. That's
Amen.
all we want.
Amen.
That's all we want. Thank you, baby. Good to talk to you, right? That's all we want. We want no big thing. You know what we want? We want the gift that keeps on giving. And in the midst of that, we want to give prayers to God because, this is worship session right now. Oh, thank you, God, for this decent woman. Thank you. I could get deep with you and start to tell you about that's why this covenant is designed strategically and specifically to be able to identify a unit. I could get deep with you and talk like this. I know you probably wouldn't want to hear that. Most men want to be able to live and justify their positions. And I'm not just talking about men. Men and women justify their positions. Guys, we have to wake up. There is something happening in our country. There is something happening with our children. There is something happening in our communities. There are deaths happening on the road. People are getting knocked down from coming out of their cars. People are getting knocked down, losing their lives on the road. People are getting knocked down. There are amplified positions, a person saying that they were committing suicide or attempted suicides. All this is a cry out. All of this is a cry out. And until we open our eyes to become our brother's keeper and to be able to be a shoulder for people to talk on, to cry to have a conversation to where we are and what we're going through, we have to put away our Grammy's posture and our grandparents' posture that say, child, it is what it is. You got to leave it alone and let sleeping dogs lie. We ain't got to talk about that no more. No, some things that need to be talked about. Some things need to be spoken of. For far too long, we've gone very casually in our posture and not spoke about some things that did detrimental damage to us, significant damage to us. Many of us, as I'm talking to you right now, could go back to that inflection point in your childhood to remember when your innocence was lost. And as you presented that kind of a concept and said to your grandmother, your granddaddy, somebody touched you or somebody did something to you, they say, well, baby, you ain't dead. You ain't. Let that go. Don't say nothing about that. Just watch out for Junior, eh? Watch out. Nobody talked to you about that. That is doing detrimental damage. I tell you about my friend who said he was crying out when these people was ravaging him as a child. And he cried so much and no one ever came to his rescue. And then he said, now I'm needed. I provide pleasure for this particular person. I am satisfied with the fact that I'm providing pleasure. Obviously, this is my purpose in his very, very carnal mind and his adolescent mind. This is what he decided. And that blossomed into him being flamboyant. This is what we're talking about in the society. No one will talk about these things. You see it, you want to condemn it. You see it, you want to embrace it. But you never try to figure out what was the core issue with these things. Next call on the line, go ahead. Caller?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Howard.
Hey, how you doing?
Do you read your Bibles, right?
I do.
What the Bible to happen the last days?
The same things that had happened in the days of Noah.
Okay, so now this is happening. The Bible must be refilled.
Yeah, but that's not in my mind. It's not enough to say that.
It's happening. Brothers against brothers.
Yeah, but
wars, trying to rewrite the Bible.
No, I'm trying to rewrite the Bible. I think that the 8.8 billion people in this world, I don't think that we could stop the course of what's happening in the world. But if we're talking about a community, that's a different thing.
But it's happening all over the world.
Yeah, but
I listen to this U.S. thing happening in the U.S., Jamaica, Barbados, everywhere.
But do you believe that we have the power to make a decision locally?
It's the worldwide thing. It's God doing. People need to repent.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. I appreciate your telephone call. I like what you're saying. Now we're getting somewhere. Over the course of our conversations, you hear me talk about conviction in politics. You hear me talk about conviction and alignment in the church. You hear me talk about the necessity for being able to acknowledge supremacy beyond our position from an educational standpoint. You hear me talking from a social services standpoint, the necessity for the community to contribute and being able to rectify these issues. I cannot neglect or deny. I cannot avert my eyes from what biblical prophecy has indicated that would happen. But I do believe that we have power locally to make decisions based upon the convictions that we put in place of leadership. I do believe that. That's just my belief. I do believe that we have the power to identify the men and women that share our convictions, share our position, share our faith, and put these people in the position of power to see our country change course. No matter if it's the last days or the first days, I believe that there is always a remnant. I believe that there are a people that are identified as a chosen, favored people. I believe that that's the Bahamas. You fight me, but it's my belief. You fight me. I believe that in the last day and time, that there would be a desire to be able to run into a place that people could identify that God lives here. I believe that geographically located in this world is a place with turquoise water that shimmers unto the stars. I believe it's the Bahamas. And the only way we get ourselves in order, in my belief, is by being able to align and reconnect with our God. I want to be decent and have this kind of a conversation with you. Let me take this quick commercial break and be right back after this.
Foundation.
Looking for a breakfast that will wake up your taste buds and kickstart your day? Well, Burger King Nassau has got you covered with the new Angry Croissantwich. Made with fluffy eggs, melted cheese, jalapenos, a spicy sauce, and your choice of ham, sausage, or bacon on a warm croissant. Make it a combo and add our signature hash browns and your choice of coffee, tea, or orange juice for a great way to start your day. Spice up your breakfast with the new Angry Croissantwich combo only at Burger King Nassau.
The Grand Bahama News is available every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian. You can buy your local paper at Freeport Convenience Stores, Western Bakery, DeGregory's Fine Foods, and Bellevue Gifts. Now is the time to reach your Grand Bahama Market with affordable packages, including print and digital. Call GB News Sales Representative Kavandre at 822-6717 or message him on WhatsApp for ad rates. Classified ads are now available every Tuesday as well. Keep up with everything Grand Bahamian every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Foundation. Foundation. The foundation.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, 96.9 FM radio. Howard Grant in your company. Kind of it's a off the beaten path of conversation about national posture, national politics. We're talking about some things that's happening in our society today, based upon the flames that were and the smoke that is being fanned from a social media standpoint into traditional media, into our society, and we're seeing a lot of these things happen. I just wanted to kind of talk about it. I didn't want to identify no one individual. I don't want to talk about I don't care to talk about nobody issues, but I just wanted to kind of open up the lines and kind of have a conversation about whether or not our morality is in place, whether or not our character is in alignment with the greater objective of community, whether or not any of us are doing math out here and identifying statistically that there are numerically more women than men. Numerically, there are more women statistically than men. And whether or not we're taking any of these things into consideration and being able to identify the need and lust and desire and this kind of a lascivious nature while we salivate for somebody else's wife. I just want to be decent as we talk about these things. I got a text here, and it says that the biggest problem that we have is men thinking that they can buy anything for money. And there are lots of women who prove them right. The next problem is that the pastors who think the same thing. It says, Howard, do you remember when God said that, what's wrong with MPs having sweethearts? This is what God says. What's wrong with MPs having sweetheart? That is his business. That's what God says, right? He said, but if this man could lie to his wife for 15, 20, 30 years, be moving money around secretly to support his deception, then who are we? It seems as though we don't even want integrity no more. It seems as though that we have thrown our hands up to the idea and of being able to have stand-up men and women. It seems as though, as a society, as we have these conversations and we open up a little bit more, then we could see your thinking. As we talk about these things and you justify the evil, the wrongdoing that's happening in one stead to be able to pursue pleasure and carnality. As you open up, that's their business. Players can play, player. Let them do what they gotta do. But the same thinking and idea of being able to pursue your pleasure and desire and pursuit of politics, these same people, they pursue in politics. And they in it, they tell you they in it for one thing. They sit down and they hit you with the same thing that they tell the woman. Well, you know, I'm here to make sure that your children's children are well. I want to ensure that the next generation is steadfast. And education is the number one thing that we're doing in this administration. Listen, if you afford me the opportunity, my God, I'm telling you, before your baby get 9 months old, he or she will be able to walk. And we're going to teach them how to read if you vote for me before 9 months. This is just, I don't know what these pitches what these people just give you. But you're content with that pitch, knowing it come out of the same mouth that tell the woman, no man, me and my wife, we ain't really like that, you know. I need to stay with her because of the children. And she and I come to a very clear understanding that I can do what I have to do. And, you know, she can do what she have to do, but she decided that she want to be celibate, you know. But yet I promise God that I only get the next woman I fall in love with, God. And he showed me you. Now, you know, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing, and I see you as my wife. Bam! The same lion mouth tell a woman that. It's the same lion mouth coming around and telling you something, but you choose it. This is what we're content with this. We're content with this. Hey, he's a soft boy. How would you know what a woman? You ain't got no outside church. He's a soft boy. Yeah. Why have we neglected, rejected, and canceled the concept of righteousness and proper alignment with supremacy over this perpetual desire for being able to ingest more and more pleasure? This is how come there isn't this push for God when it comes to rooting out corruption? The frustration in society is obviously manifesting in all our rage we see. But we want to act as if it's nothing to do with the misery and the frustration that the collective feels daily as leaders smile and get paid to continue the suffering cycle. When we can talk about that, leaders with integrity that set the example are not excuse or lotion darkness. This is the same leaders. These are the same leaders. These are the same leaders that I just mentioned. The leaders that would lie to a woman with the same mouth come to you with that same lying mouth and say to you what he or she is going to do, and your expectation is to hold them in high integrity. How? These people are liars. How? These people are liars. They show us that they are liars. Their children said to us that they are liars. My daddy had an outside family for years. He never said nothing to us about it. The obituary section show you that these people are liars. They got two sets of family. Big fight at the funeral when they dead. They live a life of lies, but we chose them to lead. How? We expect our society to change. Let's be decent. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, anywhere from the Family of Violence, 242-300, 5720. Hit me up, 422-4796. Call on the line with us live. Go ahead.
Howard.
Hey.
What's going on?
All is well.
Happy belated Father's Day.
Hey, Antoine. Happy Father's Day to you too, man. Come to the phone. You're echoing.
Yeah.
What you say?
Howard.
What you say?
Well, let me say Happy Father's Day to all fathers under the sound of me and Howard's voice, countrywide and worldwide. As you know, you don't only broadcast locally, you broadcast internationally.
I appreciate you, Antoine. Thank you very much.
I had occasion to run into Prime Minister Davis and opposition leader Pinchard over the weekend, as they were both honored by the Fox Foundation. Remember, we left off having big conversation about the big things that the men of the Numbers movement are doing in the country.
Yes.
Last week.
Yes,
and,
yes.
I got a call.
They digging pool now.
Pardon me?
They digging pools.
Boy, look here. I got a call from one of the senior sons at OPM who asked me to come and cover PM. And boy, look here, that was a huge splash that the Fox Foundation, Adrian Fox and his daughter and the rest of them put on, Mr. Bryce and all of the sponsors, including Atlantis Resort, who was a major sponsor, put on for some of the great leaders and fathers of our country and contributors. Mr. Christie received the Legacy Award for lifetime achievement and his work. And so I thought that was very fitting. But Howard, getting back to this conversation that you put on, that you have on right now, you telling us not to be indecent, right? So what kind of indecency this is you get going on, Howard?
Which is what I said. What I say was indecent.
Howard, say the man is coveting that which is not his own.
How you can cover the people's wife? How you can cover the people? You go to your church, there's 3 rows, a single woman right there.
I guess what? Howard? You can hear me?
Yeah, right here.
And pastor got to look down at each and every one of them.
The pastor can't even preach because his wife's sitting in the front. So he got to preach looking at the rafters all straight through. He can't even preach looking straight down because that's big round. He can't eat today. I see you looking at that woman. Big problems.
Pastor got to be.
But you want to look at somebody else's wife. You need to stop.
Pastor got to be deep in the spirit, Howard. But like, yeah, this is a very serious conversation, Howard. And what do you think about it? Just had a conversation maybe about a week and a half ago with some friends and family members surrounding the same kind of conversation, and it's pretty interesting how things have changed over the course of time, over the decades, over the centuries, where it used to be where it was quite acceptable for there to be wives and concubines. Wives, not wives, wives and concubines, right, Howard? Even as men walk with Almighty God, there were wives and concubines. And that's interesting to the point where we are today, where well, in our part of the world, it certainly would not be tolerated, nor would it be legal to do such a thing. But of course, that in large and in part is of the ilk and of the thinking of mankind, because in other parts of the world, Howard, it still happens, right? And so it is pretty interesting when we talk about that. I think, Howard, that conversation is as deep as it is wide. And, naturally, when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. But bearing in mind, Howard, there are other parts of the world where certain practices or certain religions make accommodations.
But all the same, the principles still apply. If I had 8 wives and I had concubines and sweethearts, so forth and so on, if I could have them, right? It'll still be indecent for me with my 10 women to look at the 11th one who is a married woman for somebody else.
Guess what? I get end with this note right here, Howard. I get end with this note right here. And you're a Bible man, so you certainly would get the message. King David.
We look at Uriah's wife.
Howard. Pardon me?
Who look at Uriah's wife? Yes.
King David
sent
a man
to die
on the front line.
To die.
So that he could be murdered twice. Just so that he could have the man's wife.
But you see what happened?
And King David was still a man after God's own heart.
Guess why?
Then right there, Howard. God bless.
I appreciate you, but the Spirit never leave him. The Spirit never leave that family. Come on now, let's be real. That kind of lascivious nature that existed in that particular space never left him. He was relentlessly and perpetually repented before God. He always bare his heart to God and showed his infirmities, showed his brokenness as a man, King David. But that spirit existed in his family because his son, Absalom, my God, raped his own sister. Y'all need to stop. Read these things. This is the real thing. If life and the cyclical nature of things that goes around, that comes around, we don't call it karma. This is life. That God never sleeps on the throne and these things come back around. You cannot expect that the next generation would not be the recipient of the sin, the seed that you plant. The only way that we could be able to find ourselves in a position that we detach ourselves from the proverbial tree is when we be ye transformed in our own thinking. My God, I get dead preaching with you today. You got to be ye transformed in your thinking. But that's only with a connection. You got to reconnect. You can't connect into darkness and expect light to come out of this. There are leaders in our country that seeks to have conversation about science and the approach of science and data and the usage of data, but no one wants to have a conversation about supremacy, about divinity, about God at the head. These are the men and women that we choose. These are the men and women that we identify to move towards leadership, and we expect our country to get back on course. And these men and women don't even have a conversation about God. They don't even talk about him. They don't even consider him. He's an afterthought. And the only reason we do that because it's amplified in the new world. It's amplified in the free world. This sort of an idea that exists in the United States of America, you wish to be able to embody that and forget about your position. Then you want to take me back to Africa and say, oh, yeah, but we never served God in Africa, but my God. Let's read this now. Let's get deep. Even when Moses grew up as an Egyptian with a very clear understanding, he knew that there was supremacy over him. When he drifted for those times, he knew that there was supremacy over him. If we don't acknowledge that there is a God above us all, there could be no expectation for us to be able to change on the land. Guys, let's get back in course, man. Let's get back. The reason why we continue to be able to celebrate the men of old is because they had a real connection. The men of old, the men that started off this politics thing in our country, that liberated our people, that came to the forefront, we're not talking about when they lost their way, because we knew that it happened. We're talking about when they started off. We're talking about the group meetings that happened and Unicom that started off with prayer. The meetings that happened that pulled people around to start to talk about what needs to happen in our country, that started off in faith. That started off with God. The idea of being able to reform, realizing that you didn't have strength, your strength had to come from somewhere, that started off with God. The introduction of carnality and cocaine and independence is what led a lot of us astray. We do not identify the elements that kept us strong and bind us together in our olden times. We only identified the men who were being used by a higher cause, who were being used by a higher power. And so you chalk it up to their victory, but not even acknowledging the God that gave them the strength to do that. Why are you so afraid to have a conversation about supremacy, about divinity, about God? And that's all we know. Has your education elevated you beyond an understanding that we are mere men? That we are but filthy rags? Let's talk, man. I haven't become so big that I separate myself from supremacy. I haven't. I came out of the womb like every other one of y'all. But I know one thing, and all of us should have this very clear understanding. We are going back to the dirt. And if you are content with saying, well, child, it is what it is, that on you. But for me and my house, my God, I can't even get no amen. For me and my house, we will do as Jeremiah and serve the God of Abraham, of Isaac. Come on, man, talk to me. Let's do the right thing in this life. Let's find men and women in our communities that stand up for righteousness and that are given, based upon this alignment, they are given the insight, the creativity, the approach to being able to incorporate something new for this dispensation. They exist. They are here. Let's take this last telephone call before we get it here. Caller, then I go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Grant. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I love the topic you're talking about today.
Praise God.
I just want to make a comment in reference to what your previous caller mentioned about King David. And I agree wholeheartedly with you, yes. He was continuously repentant before God. And yes, he plotted on Bathsheba. However, if we recount the story correctly, that child they had died. And there's a reason for that. Because even though you may be connected to God, you may stay close, it doesn't mean that he's going to give you a free pass for sin. Okay? So it clearly speaks to what you're talking about today. So I don't want us to be sidetracked or distracted because King David did this or he did that, and yes, he was a man after God's own heart, because the Bible also tells you that when you sin, you will be punished for
That's it.
So
The
like
wages.
you say, pardon me?
The wages.
Yes, the wages. So the best thing, I believe, is just as best as humanly possible with the help of Almighty God, let's stay on that path
That's it.
in which he is directing us.
Amen.
Because God never said to David it was okay for you to plot on Bathsheba.
No.
That was just a human part of him. But like you said, he was continuously repentant. And I believe as a nation, as individuals, in order for us to get back to those that foundation, we all need to try to stay continuously repentant and stay connected as close to God
Amen.
as we can be every day. Thank you so much for
I
taking
appreciate
my
it.
call.
Thank you so much for your telephone call. I want to be able to say this and have this kind of a conversation with you. I ain't gonna say that because it sound. My grandmother had a posture. When I went off to school, she told me, don't bring no, and she told me a specific nation of people. Don't bring no back to me. And I thought this was confusing to me. I said, Grammy, why would you say that? I'm going off to school. You know that, right? Yeah, but don't bring this one back. And I thought it was strange that she would say that. And for years, I pondered that. Why would my Grammy say that? Years after I didn't go into school, get married, me and a woman together, and I keep trying to figure out why would my grandmother, who I've always identified to be insightful, take on a position to say, don't bring these particular things back. Let me tell you why. Just before I came onto the radio, we started to have this kind of a conversation about how women have the power to be able to lead men. After we open ourselves, we become vulnerable with women. We say our deepest, darkest secrets. We talk to them, we open ourselves to them and show our vulnerability. Just how Samson did with Delilah. We show our vulnerability to women. And as a result of being able to talk about our vulnerability in our nature, especially when we go into women, let's be decent. And as we know women in a biblical sense, we open ourselves to whatever her alignment is. We give them our power. And that is why the word of God indicated to Solomon, listen, you can have any of these women, but don't mess with these said, because they would lead you away from your God. That's what it is. We as men in pursuit of the pleasure in the box, my God, let's do decent. As our pursuit for the pleasure that exists in that box, have yielded and given up our convictions and accepted whatever exists within Pandora's box. We've given up our convictions. And as we pursue this pleasure, and it continues to be able to fill our hearts and we become kings unto ourselves, we forget our God and we're losing our nation. It's time for us to wake up, guys. Let's just talk like this, man. It's difficult. And I say nothing to say that I'm supreme or I'm the best man. It is time for us as a nation to get back to our faith. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I'm grateful for this opportunity, grateful for the chance to be able to talk to you like this. And I'm hoping that at least this leaves you with sort of a nugget to chew on, some meat that you could ponder and find out through introspection as to whether or not we're in the right position today. Let's be decent, guys. Let's be decent. There is no expectation that everyone can fall in line. But for those of us that are convicted to do so, it is time for us to take this country back. It is time for us to to be able to stand on righteousness and identify the true north for growth, development, and that kind of a forward, upward, onward togetherness that we continue to espouse in our nation. That's the show today, guys. I want to thank you so very kindly for being able to tune in. If you want to hit me up and then have further conversations about these things, 827-0111, 827-0111, The Foundation. Guys, have a beautiful day. We're going to see you tomorrow right here. I should have a guest coming on for you. We've got to be able to confirm those things. I'm going to see you tomorrow right here on 96.9 FM radio. Have a beautiful day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Godspeed.